Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm the Laughing Salesman, here today for a little something. The Loremaster's currently on the road, so I'm here to briefly entertain you all on your 4th of July weekend. It's not a monthly mark, unfortunately. I need to actually sit down and plan one of these days. No, today we are beginning something new. Last year, the Inner Sea Travel Guide was a smash success, with various topics needing to be talked about in depth. But for my purposes, there was a little section on trade routes, and as a merchant of the highest order, this is perfect time to show off my own expertise. So, hold up a glass, and let me talk to you about the trade routes of the Inner Sea region. First, let's look at the two major ones in the area. The northern tack goes along the northern coast of Inner Sea. Kadira, Taldor, Andoran, Cheliax, and of course Absalom, because everyone loves Absalom. In spring, the winds of the area blows west, while the reverse is true in the autumn, giving a nice track of timing for those who wish to travel the route. In the fall, load up in Corinthian, especially since it's connected to the Thessalian run. We'll get there later. The first major stop is West Crown, where you supply the crown while picking up the pick of chillaxing goods. You might want to stop for repairs in Ostenso, unless you want the Chelish to sabotage your ships. Bring the good to Gustana and Almas, especially if you do not have a hearse in the ongoing conflicts between the nations. Though news of Cheliax is the most valuable commodity you'll likely be able to sell in Andran. From here, the road is straight to Casimir, Absalom, and Canthir. Sorry, Opar, you do not pay as well as you think you do. Then in the spring, you go the other way, hopefully having used the connecting markets to pick up Assyrian and Vudranic goods and spices. Remember to pick up cheese going back to Taldor. Andoran and Cheliax love it. Though, since Andoran's goods do not sell well in Cheliax, you might want to make the return trip after Kashmir a Chelish-only run. The south track, as one would expect, goes along the southern coast, touching Katapesh, Osirian, Tuvia, and Rahadom. And Absalom, because everyone loves Absalom. In the fall, fill up your halls with medicine and books from Azir on sale. Or you can avoid the Chalish blockade by instead starting in Malaket or Corinthon. Tuvia has two of its great city-states on the coast, and alchemic knowledge means anything picked up here is preserved for a whole 5 times the length. Definitely worth it. There's a bit of a long haul between Aspenthar and Sotis, but this area is titled the Coast of Graves for a reason, so you're going to want to slow walk the trip to Osirian. But when you get there, one can pick up trade goods all the way from the inner Moagni. There has to be a stop in Absalom, especially if you manage to pick up Assyrian beer. And Katapesh is a trade nexus one would be mad to not stop at. That said, the greatest thing about the southern track is the return trip. It can be hard to sell in Absalom, Katapesh, and even Assyrian, with all the connections they have. But one can definitely buy wonders to sell elsewhere. Next, we have the Obari Crossing, which goes across the entirety of the Obari Sea. I think I'll try to talk to Loremaster into covering it as a side tangent for the Plane of Waters video. Consider that a spoiler. Either way, this trade route is said to cover the same track as Vutrani's first trip to Jamore. And of course Absalom, because, well, this trade route first started in the starts in what is known as the Arcane Crescent, the trade route which goes between the Impossible Lands. Because, well, Geb and Nex hate each other, that does not mean Nex hates food and Geb hates money. The Crescent itself starts in the trade capital of Katapesh, before heading south to Quantium to trade magic goods for magic goods. Down to Malkatar to trade away alchemic fluids to get your spring shipments of cash crops to take elsewhere. From here, some go further south to Holomarg or Jorna the so-called, and the coast sweep. But most instead just go straight up to Jamure, before stopping in Kadira at Sekret. Here's where the crescent ends and the long haul across the Obari Sea begins. Difficult crossing with sea creatures and doldrums, but that is why Iblados exists. A place for ships to rest and exchange cargo before taking the final leg to the mainlands. In Rudra, you get the high price for international trade, and can live the good life until mountain winds in the winter come to push you back west, with foreign cargo ready to sell for a pretty penny. And on the other side of the run, we look at the fabled Batharian Run. This route, unlike the others, crosses temperate, subtropical, and even tropical waters, so make sure to carry a variety of supplies. Most traders usually prefer to cut the run in half, either doing the Avestan portion or the Goan portion. But real traders, we like to risk the crossing 2 seas and a giant hurricane. Typically it starts north, where various rails from Tion Sea and the land of the Norm Kings move down through Vasarian into Magnamor, at the official beginning of the route. The goods from all three are loaded to prepare for the trip south. The traditional route goes to Kalvosa and stops in Nisroch, openly trading with Nadal, but some just go straight to Kintongo for safety. Definitely missing out when it comes to Nadal. They need all the food they can get. From there, stop in Corinthian to pay challenge taxes, or you can just sail past and stop straight at Rahadom. From there, we enter pirate territory. First, Mediogalti Island. Then comes the part of sailing past the forever storm of the Eye of Abandago. But the south trek is with the wind, and a success will get you to Port Peril, where people who are willing to open their wares for sale have much less of a chance of having those wares stolen. Mud Cove is not the best stop because of the bad blood between the local pirates and the Apsis Consortium. So you're likely going to want to sail straight down to Senghor, another major trade hub where wares from across the Atlantic Sea and the Margin Expanse can be bought and bartered. And finally, Anthusis get you a direct route to Margni trade. Margni goods sail well up north of the Eye. Just remember that the northern trip is against the wind. Sail safe, and you make a fortune. Return to Cheliax. Their goods sail well in the former colonies of Kavos and Magnamor, so pick up some nice wine and only drink about half of it. Easy money if there ever was any. Of course, the sea is only one trade route. Take the example of the Selin River, flowing majestically across the entirety of East Avestan. Looking at it, we split into 3 right away. One side branch going down Mendev and Salkaris, another through the river kingdoms, Numeria, and the Lake of Mists and Veils. And a third goes into Bavoy. From Bavoy, one will find the breadbasket of the Broken Lands. And the lake, when you can get in during not winter, provides a variety of fish, making these both good selling locations. The West Branch, however, has been pretty dry since the closing of the World Wound, and the main trade is taking mercenaries to places where they can find their next fight. Though some of the larger river kingdoms like Negamart or Razmaran are found here, so it's still worth the trip. Probably so, since this is the branch which leads out into Lake Incarton, and you are able to tap into all the trade along its shores. Eventually, the three rivers become one, and it goes down straight to Casimir. While Casimir does not send goods up the river, it has made quite a profit by hosting shipbuilders who specialize in riverboats. One more major route I can talk about is one which lies outside the Inner Sea region, mostly. The Path of Egenhai is an ancient trade route which crosses the crown of the world to trade between Avastan and Tianshi. Traders leave from Karlsgrad through the Rheinthus Mountains, crossing between the pass to the crown, taking a path which keeps it off of the high ice and down where there is at least some normal day-night cycle. Eventually, one reaches the other side and crosses the Wall of Heaven into Hongol, before crossing the Forest of Spirits to Minkai. A nice intercontinental exchange between the Vikings and samurai. I love this game. Those are the major trade routes, but there are a few minor routes that need to be mentioned. But first, let's get a couple out of the way we have talked about before. The Umbo Path connects Nidal to Multhune, and was warned about when the Loremaster covered Nidal. Seriously, it's too much of a risk to invest you that hard up on money. And the Flood Road was mentioned in Belkzen, and you will gain an appreciation of mercs going through that one, both the video and the trade route. Then we get into the Moagni Expanse. We have the Diamond Webway. This is a vast route going across the Otoko River Basin area, across the various routes found to, at least previously, be considered safe. This is a tricky route, one spreading out, weaving around with various branches, and there's no real best way to go here. It all depends on the instinct of the trader, the foreknowledge of which of all paths the cities you head in will need, and know where you can get the most return for your goods. But if you get good at it, you will not only become rich with cash, but rich with friends and cash. Another is the Stranger's Lattice, which zigzags across Visarion. Centered around the city of Kael'Maga, the famed city of strangers where all kinds of outcasts live. This makes it the perfect place to facilitate trade, but also to connect the wares of distant cultures across an area that would otherwise be inhospitable. From the colonies on the coast of Visarion, to the borders of the whole of Belkzen to collect Orcish wares, up to New Thessalonia to connect to the unique treasures emerging from the past. Maybe a bit tougher than our sea routes, but definitely a trade to find many unique characters. And last and least, we have the Glimmer Road, which is the Drumish overland trade to the surrounding areas. Which, do not get me wrong, the Drumish give a lot of money, but is basically a small path through Druma to the Five Kings Mountains to Andoran. That is not a trade route to me, that's a road. But hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess. And fills your pockets. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Nice and dirty introduction to what should hopefully give you a nice path forward to anyone who takes an interest in the life of a trader. I'm not sure the Loremaster will hope to find more time to do more travel guide topics sometime, but we are currently into a countdown to a new book. So, look forward to next week with a God video. Of course. Can't forget that. Anyways, all sold out for today, so time for my car to hit the road. See you next time I come around.